Good Monday morning, everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't, the rest of the year is just flying by for me. It's just chaotic and craziness, and I'm doing good to remember that today is Monday. But you guys listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, Russell, Valerie, and our lovely author guest today is Rachel Burr. So you guys won. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and so I want to just thank all the veterans out there. My dad is one of them, so I want to thank all of them for their service to our country and everything like that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day tomorrow. But it ties into my weekend, you guys. So we have a lot of photos. So make sure you go over to our YouTube channel, Facebook groups, all of that, so you can see these photos later. But this weekend up here in College Station, we have the Museum of American GI, I think is the name of it. And they did a program that they only do twice a year, and it's called History in Motion. And they brought out all of these tanks and weapons from all the weapons from the Civil War up Revolution, all of those. But they were bringing out all the tanks from World War II, all of the cars that are still all functioning, giving rides in the tanks, history lessons, everything like that. So I'm going to show you guys the photo of my daughters in front of the tank. They had an exciting time kind of at the beginning. My youngest, not so much, but she was a hot mess just the entire day. But this was one of the tanks that they did, but they were giving people rides in the tanks. They were shooting off the tanks and just explaining all of them, who built the tanks, everything like that. It is super cool. If you're into any kind of history or military history, I highly recommend going to this event. They'll do another one in March, but it was one of the coolest things that I've went to, but I love those kinds of things. On top of that, you guys, oh my gosh, Christmas has hit my house. My tree is up. It has lights on it. My ornaments aren't up, but the lights outside are up, and I'm getting my candy canes out today, and I'm going to put them on rebar because I did not put stakes on them. And I need to put stakes. So I'm going to put them on rebar so they'll spin. And it's literally like a Christmas bomb has gone off at my house. And I say that in full respect, Russell, because I know that you're still homeless, but I have hope that you will be able to get Christmas lights up.
Yeah, that's the extent of my Christmas, is that little bitty tree on the table.
I love it. I
Because,
love it.
the money pit.
Well, I love it. But other than that, you guys, it was super hot on Saturday, sticking our feet in our neighbor's pool. Till yesterday was freeze your butt off. And today it was just the North needs to take their weather back. Okay. That's just my kind of thing. But what all did you guys do this weekend? I know Valerie and Russell had a big weekend. So which one of you guys want to go first?
I want to go before Valerie because I'm going to comment on Valerie and then she can defend herself.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Right. I'm ready.
So the biggest thing for my weekend was actually late last week when the three of us got together. Now, because you watch the three of us or you listen to the three of us on the show every week, you think that we see each other all the time. We actually never see each other in person.
Yeah.
So for the first time in about a year, because I've been in Georgia for 3 years, the first time in about a year we've been able to get together. We got together late last week in Katy, Texas, and we had a great time. Just not even we talked a little bit about the show, but we also just had like friends talking, and it was a wonderful time. I really enjoyed it. And that was a big part of my week. And then while we were eating, Val said, I'm going to be at a fair festival or a fall festival really close to where, the apartment that I'm in this month. Uh, the Why don't you come over? And I was like, I might want to smoke a cigar or something instead. But I changed my mind because it's only a block away, and I'd never been to that Catholic church. It's spectacular Catholic church, isn't it, Val? It really is
Yeah, it was
spectacular.
beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
I went over, and it was a huge fall fair, and it was great people. And I had to search for it because it was a really, really large fall fair. And she was
Hmm.
back there. Val was back there, and she had her own table. And I before I even told her I was there, I kind of watched her hustle a little bit and watched after to see how she did things. And I got to tell you, Val, you really do it well. She
Thank you.
has little bitty gifts that suck the children in, and then if you've seen this show or listened to this show at all, you know that Valerie's the really nice person of the three of us.
Out of all of
And
us.
I mean,
Yeah.
she really is. And that really comes out while she doesn't hustle. She's just visiting people and being friendly. And her books are organic part of what she's talking about. It really was nice. I really love her hustle. And I know that sounds pejorative and I don't mean it that way, though I do because I'm that way. But uh, I really thought it was nice. And Valerie, I was really impressed.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Just trying to connect with the people.
You do well. So shift and talk about your weekend.
Okay. Well, that market was really nice. It was a great day this was a market I had never done before. So, and I've talked about that before, like finding new audiences for your material because, not everyone, you can't keep going the same place. They're like, I already saw you. I already read your book. And so find new people, find new things and then, and just it was a great experience. I loved it. I hope I can go back again next year because it was super crowded. I don't even know if I saw half the people there, just because there was so many vendors. Also, and then Saturday we had a lot. Well, actually, we had a lot of family and friends in because it was my daughter's baby shower. So we had people from Michigan, from Austin, from oh my gosh, I don't even remember, but there was a lot of people, and so it
And you
was
took
just
them all
great
out to get
celebrating my daughter.
margaritas.
No,
No,
we
it
had a
was
lot
a
of
baby
wine and
shower.
things like it was a baby shower, but yeah, so we had,
Yeah.
wine and stuff like that. But then, we were so tired, we went to Papasitos later and I had a frozen cocktail. So there you go. We were
Nice.
exhausted, exhausted. But that was it, just really enjoying family and friends and just getting ready for the baby.
I love it.
Before Rachel,
Russell.
I have to interrupt. And yesterday was Rita's 1 year birthday.
Yes, it was. And I have
This
a
is my
photo.
little ballerina.
Oh,
Look
She's
at
1 years
her.
old. She
such a cutie.
Rachel. She
Love
is
it.
a cream British Retriever, and she's a year old. She is, and she's with me all the time. The only reason she's not with me today is because I had to meet with foundation and floor people at the money pit. So
Well,
that's the only reason.
I love her. I was going to say, because I knew I saw your light bulb go off, but I had her photo ready and I was going to be like, Russell, you missed somebody's birthday.
I
Okay. We
know.
need to talk about it because I love her. I love Rita. But Rachel, what did you do this weekend?
Well, first I have to comment on the tutu, Russell. I love tutus. It's my whole inner child thing. And every Halloween, I try to incorporate tutus
Okay, my
into, yes.
twin
Oh,
3 year old granddaughters were ballerinas for Halloween, and Rita was a ballerina with them.
I love that. I love that. My use of tutus is a little bit more non-traditional. Just whatever I come
I
up
guess we
with.
need to just
Nice.
move on from that then.
Yes.
I love it.
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. But yeah, so our weekends are always filled with kind of just social stuff and wine. To your point, my husband's French, so there has to be wine flowing at everything we do. And although I will say Friday, we ate way too much leftover Halloween candy, and I did not feel so well the next
Right?
next I don't know. So that
it's
could have
easy to do.
that's got to go.
Okay, your husband's
Yes.
French. Have you
Mhm.
read Proust?
No. I know, Russell. We
Okay,
even
this
before we
interview can
started,
be over
there's
now.
so many things.
Okay, I need to thank everybody. I need to thank everybody that's listening to us. We're top 1% on one podcast channel and top 10% on some others, an independent book podcast. We've been on for, is it 9 or 10 years now, Amy?
We're coming up on 10 years.
I can't believe it. 10
I
years
know.
podcast. The average podcast lasts less than 6 months. So we just thank you for listening to us. even I can find us when I'm looking for us. And that says something. Amy, where do people find us?
You guys, it really does. I'm not even joking. The fact that he can find us is astonishing sometimes. I don't miss those text messages where, Amy, where do I find this crap? That's how they would be worded. It was fantastic. But you guys, anywhere that you can search for a podcast is where you can find us. My go to when I'm looking for a podcast is Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods. I'm an Android user, so Google Play. If you are an Apple, iTunes is where you go. I also am big into watching video ones. I don't know why, but I'm animated. And me and Valerie, you generally can tell how we're feeling. And I like to watch those kind of things. So you can come over to our YouTube channel, our Facebook group, or any one of our social media platforms. Our shows are going to be over there. If you want to see how we started to where we are today, we used to meet in person, you guys, at Russell's place when he lived in Houston the first time.
We did
and we would
it was
record.
terrible. We
It
were
was so much fun,
terrible.
though.
It was fun
so much
doing it,
fun.
but we were terrible.
It was fun because I was just holding the phone or whatever we were using to record at the time. And we would be by the pool or inside or in a conference room. We were always just popping around. And so it was a lot of fun from that aspect. And then if I wanted to tune in, I could just flip the camera around on me. But now we can all get together and hang out and engage with you guys. So it's fun to see how we started to where we are today. So make sure you go and check any of those platforms out. If you want to be on the show, it is incredibly easy, but keep in mind that I'm a millennial.
Yeah,
this
she's
is the
got to
only
return
time.
the email first.
I mean, that's a true statement, but I am a millennial. So it's the only time I will claim my millennialness is I prefer direct messages. Okay. Like they get seen by me because they go on all of my communication devices. It pops up. An email that refreshes every like hour. Okay. And you have the risk of going in my spam. So send me a direct message on any one of these platforms. I will get you on the show. If you email me, send me a direct message saying that you've emailed me and I will get back to you. Okay. I'm just saying I can be difficult because I just am all over and I get thousands of emails a day. But you guys, yeah, Russell.
You know what I want to talk about?
Yes.
Rachel, have you ever heard of dark romance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and especially with you all talking about it. Yes, I
Okay,
have.
so this has been going on all year, ever since I asked Amy and she laughed at me. Why is your tattoo artist at romance book festivals? And she laughed. This has been going on. So we have a new chapter in our discussion. Put the picture up.
Oh,
I'm at the
Russell.
bookstore.
He was at the bookstore.
Was it Saturday or Friday? I couldn't believe it. My wife said the maid came to the apartment we live in this month. So she said, let's go to the bookstore. So we went to the bookstore at Barnes and Noble. It's a brand new and spectacular. And I checked this a couple of months ago when we were talking about it. And I went to the romance section, but there wasn't a dark romance delineated area.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, and we came back and we had a discussion. Well, I asked, well, how would you know it then? This week, I took this picture. It's getting so big. Barnes and Noble has embraced it. They have signs and they have a whole table of dark romance books now. And things are moving on. What does it say? I don't have my...
Witness the darker side of love with these spicy selections. Do you see this God of Fury dark romance here and has the painted edges?
Yes.
Well, romance authors are the ones primarily that do that and started it and have the designs on the side. But I've read all of these.
What are you talking about?
See
They
how
do what?
the painted edges or the design edges, right? Like this one is yellow, so it matches the title, which is yellow. You'll have another one, this lights out one over here. If you get the hardback edition, has the blue sprayed tips with the skull going down it. Romance authors do that. I've read all the books on this table. Lights Out is this blue one right here. God of Fury is fantastic. The Sorrow one, it was okay, but I've read all the books on this table. That's what I commented
it's so
to.
big. I asked later in the weekend a member of my larger family, a young woman who has some tattoos, and who I mentioned dark romance to, because I'm always fishing to find things out. And she's like, "Oh, I've read this and that." And I asked her, "Are any of your tattoos from those books?" And she didn't respond, which means yes. I
I'm
was, in
sure.
fact, she looked away because she knows what her father. Well, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
She looked away, and which so she wouldn't have to respond to me, which tells me
Mhm.
she.
Mhm.
I was. I got. That's how clueless I am. I
Hey,
am
I tried to
completely
tell
clueless of
you.
everything around me.
Hey, but to make you feel a little bit better, I was talking to Josh about this book that I'm currently reading, which is on the side of Pitch Black. And so Josh wanted to know what the difference was. And I was like, just think of the most unhinged, non consensual things, and that would be Pitch Black, right? Like, there's no morals at all. Like, that's just all out the window. You have 3 pages of trigger warnings. But when we had the conversation, Russell, kind of like that, and it was like dark romance kind of touches the surface, and then you go to morally gray, and then you go to like pitch black, and each one of those have darker levels. And so it's like, what level are you on? So he's found out that I just read unhinged, crazy stuff, and he is probably worried about me, but whatever. It's all good.
Okay, let's move to Val.
Well, on another note of that, Amy,
Yeah.
my daughter was like, she goes, my daughter was like, she's read all these big series of Zodiac, Zodiac something,
Zodiac
and then
Academy.
like 9 books, and yes, that one, and then some other ones, and she goes, Mom, I got this book. It was Lights Out. She goes, I was like, what the heck? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I read that. She goes, oh my God, you read that? I was like, well, I kind of just picked it up because it was like a popular title, and then I started reading it, like, oh my goodness, wow, okay, so but and that's funny, like, but it's across all barriers, like
Yep.
all age groups. It's like it's
It's
just something
crazy.
new.
It's just
How many books are
crazy.
in that God of Fury series, Amy?
I don't remember. I read that. That was like one of the first ones that like pushed me full on into Unhinged. But
God.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
like those kinds of books. They even have series now, which you guys are gonna laugh at this. But if you watch the K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix, right? There
Yes.
are dark romance series that are similar to the K-pop Demon Hunters that is now going viral on TikTok, right? Because
I
everyone
don't know
loves
what
that show.
language you're talking.
I
Are you
know.
speaking Mandarin?
Yeah.
I don't understand
No.
any of those words. And
Well,
don't explain it.
I'm not going to,
It's
because who's really good with people and who can help you, Russell, is Rachel. So let's
I
get
know, let's get
Rachel
Rachel go.
talking about her book, which is Butterfly Goo. I love your cover, so I'm going to pop that up. But let's get you talking about that, and then just how, you are an executive coach, what all that means, how you dove into this book. So I'm going to let Valerie take it away. I'm going to put your cover up, and let's get Rachel talking about her book. Take it away, Valerie.
Okay, first of all, that title, wow, if that doesn't get people's attention, but the cover is beautiful, just like you said. Um, and I was most captivated by the fact that it says down at the bottom here that it's a story and a memoir. Can you kind of expand on that, please? Just give us a little back about yourself.
Background about myself. So I am an executive coach and author and people expert, as I like to say. So the book is a humorous memoir. It's not exactly lined up with executive coaching. So it was a really interesting kind of overlap that I've been trying to communicate to clients. It's really more about personal transformation and my own journey and my messy, gooey experiences. Leadership is also a personal journey, whether people think of it that way or not. So I really do see them as overlapped. It's just more about helping other people see it.
So, but how did
go
you
ahead.
decide to write about it, all this?
I feel like this book has been trying to write itself through me for the longest time, and I finally just gave up fighting it. So for me, it was the humor part is just who I am. That is what people will usually use to describe me first thing out of the gate. Love it. Can't imagine a world without it.
Yes.
And I think for me is what this came up with. I think transformation, unfortunately, has been exacerbated by social media, but it almost becomes this, unachievable thing because people think it's magic. They think it just happens and you get the ta-da thing, including people
Mhm.
think that with butterflies, which is that, the analogy is beautiful and it's not true with them either. And my point about writing this book, aside from it was just this compelling feeling, is I want to demystify this. I want to break it down and help people see what it really is, make it more understandable, actionable, and achievable. And I think putting myself out there as saying, look, this was one of the most transformative journeys of my life. And it was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, definitely had triumphs along the way, but had a lot of goo to slog through. And that's normal. And that's really the piece that comes out of all of this. All of this is normal. So if you find yourself in goo and yet you're trying to get to where you want to go, it's just part of the process.
Exactly. I guess when you say trend, can you just maybe give a little hint? Maybe don't be like spoiler alert, but just maybe a little bit of your transformation as yourself.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in a 10-year journey to get a PhD in psychology. And like I say in the book, not exactly the Hollywood underdog story that we're used to, but we all start someplace different. I had been working toward this for a really long time. This was a path I had dedicated so much of my life to up until that point. And I loved it was, I loved psychology. I loved the theory. I loved debating it. I loved learning about it. And I found myself in this program and I was miserable. I was just miserable. I realized that it had been this idea of what psychology was, and it was a fun journey and filled with, I talk about it's like a circus train. It was filled with toys and games and fun, but I didn't actually consider where it was going or if it was someplace I wanted to get to. And the problem was I was on this train with two kinds of people. Either there were people like a friend of mine who's a professor down at LSU. She's so good at what she does. She's so excited about it. Couldn't wait to get to be a professor. So people like that who were excited to be on the journey. And then there were the people like me who also wanted to get off the train, but they didn't know how to do it any more than I did. So
Mhm.
nobody could help me. And you're just in this really stuck place. And the book starts out with what I call my first big quit, which was leaving this program and having to go through, even before you get there, this breaking open and realizing that you have to just jump into the unknown because you have to start from where you are. And that's where I was. And otherwise, I had the option to choose to stay stuck or choose to jump into the unknown. And I chose the unknown.
So I guess basically, as a coach, though, you're seeing people in a lot of different situations, and then when you're saying transformation, then people who like yourself, it could be anything. You could be like starting a new business, you could be writing a book, you could be becoming a new mom, all these things in life that transform us. I guess is this kind of guiding people along this path? Because it's the unexpected that usually kills everybody. Just like, so does it like give directives like how to handle these types of situations?
It's a really good question. It's so yes and no. As a coach, I'm really more of a guide, and I will tell people, look, you can take, tweak, or toss whatever I give you because this is a choose your own adventure. What I've tried to do is give some takeaways from my own experience, and there are playground
Mhm.
exercises in the back if you want to play around with your own kind of stuff. For me, I took as a format Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, but also kind of tongue in cheek to say, this is a very overly simplified approach. It's much gooier, messier than, than
Yes.
you would expect. So I can't tell you that you do X, Y, and Z. These are the 5 easy steps to get there.
Mhm.
What I tell you is these are kind of some of the things that you're going to encounter along the way. And that's normal. And here are some things you may want to take away and challenge yourself in terms of your own journey.
I like that. Russell, you have a question?
Yes, on this specific subject too. So, uh, I think of your transformative phraseology as a much nicer way of the way I describe my disruption philosophy. So,
Mhm.
how if you coach people to live this lifestyle, I have found that it's it's both a great and a terrible thing to try to live one's philosophy. So how do you prepare people for all the terrible parts? Because I can tell you, I do live the philosophy, and it can be awful to live that, and it's uncomfortable. So how do
Oh,
you prepare people for, and what? How does your book address the discomfort? Which is this is kind of Valerie's question, what she just asked too, by the way. How do you prepare people, and how does the book address the discomfort and the not difficulty, but what living that lifestyle, or my way, living my philosophy, does to you?
I absolutely agree. And one of the things I talk about is our comfortable discomfort. That a lot of us, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And so a lot of
Mhm.
times we choose to stay stuck even when we're unhappy because the idea of what might be out there is it's just too scary. I already know I can handle this level of discomfort and even misery. I don't know if I can handle all that's out there. And a lot of
Mhm.
times I think one of the things I like to say is change happens when the fear of change is finally dwarfed by like a dread of the same. So that looming dread. And I think, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable because we don't grow in our comfort zones. So it has to be a choice. And I start off with the book about talking that the universe wields a cast iron skillet of change. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to get bashed over the head before you realize that you need to do something different. And even then, denial is an amazing analgesic. It's one of those where I can be bashed over the head and I can still convince myself that my life is good enough. And then at some point, for me, it just something breaks and it breaks enough that I realize I need to do something different. And it is going to be uncomfortable. It is going to be painful at times. And you have to
Mhm.
recognize who you are at your core and what's most important to you. And I work with leaders all the time about that. And when you understand your values, your strengths, the things that you really want, that's a foundation for you to continue to move through all that, what can feel like chaos as a foundation. It doesn't make it pleasant, but it's your North Star of getting through it. Because you also know that chaos, it's not going to last forever. And it's something you have to move through. There's no getting around it. There's no kind of, ignoring it. If you want to get where you want to go, you got to go through it.
You know, in
Mhm.
Eastern mysticism, enlightenment comes from breaking. So, how do you address that? I actually believe that greater enlightenment only comes from breaking.
I agree. And I think even later in my career, because I'm really optimistic. I'm practical, but I'm really optimistic, bless you, of what's possible. And at my last corporate job, I was very fortunate the last year I was there that I had two really big projects just break. And for me, that brokenness, it opens you up literally in a way to let in the new, to let in the possibility that this is not what you want. This is not working. And that's what happened. That's what happens in the book. And I talk about there are I talk about clicks in a lock. And I think a lot of times people only look at the ta-da of either the breaking open and the moving forward. But for me, there are all these little clicks. So that old combination lock that maybe you had on your bike, these little things are ticking and tying in the background. There are these things that are changing for you. And the ta-da or the breaking open moment, that itself isn't the transformation. It's everything that's happened to you up until that point that gets you there. And then a lot of times it's that, that's actually the beginning of your transformative journey, like Campbell would say, that you actually have to go through this cocoon kind of phase and you break through that cocoon and then you actually start your journey. So it's not quite the butterfly analogy in that the breaking through the cocoon is the end. We continue to break through cocoons and go through this change and break over and over again as we continue to grow.
I love that. I guess when do you feel people should maybe pick up your book in their journey? Like they're like, okay, this is a little bit more than I anticipated in this situation. Like, okay, I'm probably not the first person to go through this. Let's say I'm midway through and I need a little bit of encouragement. I need some guidance. What would you say about that?
I think we all get to different points in our life where we feel stuck or there's a shift in our stage of life and what we want. And it can be abrupt because something dramatic happens to us, or it can be kind of slow slog that a lot of folks, for example, experience in their career path, that they start off in one area and they climb a lot of ladders because that's what's in front of them. And then they figure out it's not exactly where they want to go. We've all felt stuck. Well, I can't say all. I'm sure there are people out there that had this very linear path, and good for them. That's wonderful. And I don't want to normalize that. I think it's important to recognize that we all feel that at some point. And this is a great opportunity to just pick it up and start to examine your own stuckness. Now, I invite you to play around with that if you want to. If all you want to do is read the humorous memoir and laugh at my mistakes and have that schadenfreude of being really glad that you're not me, then do that. It's really about what you want in terms of this process. And I've had people say, oh, I've read through your book first, just reading through it. And then I went back and I did some of the exercises and the self-reflection questions in the playground. So I think it depends on where we are in our journey. And I think sometimes early on, we're not ready to admit that we need to change because we are comfortable in that discomfort, which people, like I said, people think is weird because it's like, well, of course I'm uncomfortable. I would do something different. Really? Because there's a lot of times that we make that work, right? So I think it depends. You can come to this early in your journey and say, yeah, I'm not ready for this. It's good for you, but I'm not doing this. Or maybe you get to the part in the journey where there's takeaways at the end of each chapter, the stuff that I learned. And like I always tell people, you may take something else away. Great. You do that. And they may still think, well, that was fun. I might have some ideas for my life. And then there are people that, I am reached the breaking point. I am done. I need to do something different. So I think there are a lot of ways and places on the journey you may come to it. And again, like I said, it's to choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I love that because you're connecting with people on so many different level and experiences. And I love the fact that you also included, the self-help sections, the lessons, and the workbooks. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, my background is in learning and development. And so putting together workshops and trainings and things like that, it's just part of my DNA. And I think people need a guide. Like, so often, even when I'm working with leaders, people want to jump in and give advice, best intention. But advice, while there's information that can be very helpful from mentors or other people along the way, most of us don't need advice. We need to figure out how to unpack ourselves. We need to figure out how to unpack our head and what we need. Doesn't mean that there isn't information out there that we need. Maybe you need a class, maybe you need a tool, all of that. But the core of all of this is who we are inside. And like I talk about the little caterpillar, when that caterpillar spins its chrysalis, I say cocoon. My brother, that's an entomologist, assures me that's not right. It's a moth that does a cocoon. Um, but we take everything we need into that chrysalis in order to become who we are. And I think what's important about coaching is I come alongside and I help people unpack that. I give you like this space. I will challenge you. I will, have that clarity or help you achieve that. And these takeaways, these exercises, the self-reflection questions, they're not about me telling you what to do and how do you walk this journey. It's about giving you some structure so you can play around in this playground. And I call it that because there's no expectations in a playground. We get this idea of we have to do things. But playground, there's no expectations. It's just fun. Let's take down kind of our own barriers that we set up. And walking through some of this, the questions, some of it's fun. A lot of folks have told me the questions are really challenging, like in terms of making them think. They have this emotional response and they have to go kind of take a step back and go back to it. But it's really all about what help do you need. And I am happy to come alongside you as a guide, but I can't tell you what to do. And anybody who does say you have to do it this way, that's based on their own journey. It's based on their learnings and their mistakes. And while you can pick and tweak some things that you may want to take, that's their path. And if you follow their path, you're never going to reach your full potential.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I think, that there's no like right or wrong answer. It's just getting through it. And that's what you're doing. You're guiding us through whatever is. What kind of situations have you seen? I guess that that this can help mostly with, or just it's just anybody.
Yeah, I think it is. But I think, obviously with my work, I work a lot with folks who are challenged in their career or the work that they're experiencing in relationships with other people, especially with leaders. For example, a lot of folks think it's that a function or the business that makes you a good leader. I'm not saying you don't have to know those things. I'm saying some of the biggest challenges are around how you work with people and that development and unfolding. I think for a lot of folks, it does come with, career. I think it comes even in relationships that you've decided to be with outside of work. Right. And I think because we've talked about going through, and I think one of the things I want to clarify, and let me just dive into the analogy that explains the title a little bit, is that we have this idea that the butterfly is this magical transformation and it's beautiful, and it is. And the reality is this is a very arduous journey, even for the butterfly, who it's all just based on, what its genetics is kind of taking it to do. Whereas for us, we have to choose to transform or not.
Mm-hmm.
But when it goes into the chrysalis or the cocoon, I'm going to keep using that, it actually dissolves into this green gelatinous goo. So it dissolves down to its fundamental building blocks. And then from there, it builds something new. And I said earlier, it takes everything it needs to go into that cocoon to become a butterfly. So we're not changing ourselves into something we're not. It's about becoming the best of who we are by nature. And that going through, which is really important, it's not just something we have to endure. It's actually critical to our transformation. It's how we transform. And even at the end, when the butterfly comes out of the cocoon, it has to struggle in order for its wings to be strong enough to fly. So it is part of it. And I think I have seen so many people come through so much. And I think one of the things that just from the work that I do is watching these leaders that you think they have these big personalities, they're super successful, they have these titles and this position of power. And they'll come in and at some point they'll say to me, I don't feel that I'm really supposed to be here. And it's that imposter syndrome that we have. And they tell me like it's like a dirty little secret, like they're the only ones, which the problem is most of us think it is just us. And being able to give them that space and to challenge And sometimes with them, they don't necessarily think the idea of psychological safety or safe is really a way to describe it, because it feels too soft. And I'm here to tell you, in my work with you, nothing will be soft. In a good way, telling you the truth that I see, and we can talk about it. But watching some of these folks really open up, and you'd think they'd already be at the pinnacle of where they are. And they open up and transform in a way that I know they didn't expect, because a lot of folks come to me as coaching clients. They weren't the ones that recommended they come or chose to come. They didn't think they needed coaching when they showed up. And with some of those folks, it is so rewarding to watch them really step in to their potential and their growth in a way that they didn't even know they could.
That sounds amazing. And I just really, really love the visual comparison to the butterfly, because no journey is perfect. No journey is easy. It's and no matter what your situation is, but just going through it and coming out, like you said, fragile, and to just gain your strength. That's a great, comparison and visualization for the reader and whoever else you're trying to help. Russell, did you have any more questions?
No, I'm still thinking about her use of the words imposter syndrome.
No.
I've never had imposter syndrome. So I find it interesting you talk about the leaders that do have it, because I've never had it. Did you ever read the best-selling book about Musk? That was a best-selling book about 5 years ago.
I listened to it, so yes, that counts as reading.
Yes, you went through Audible. That's the same thing these days in our
Yeah.
modern world. Uh, I found what you describe. I found that interesting with him, because he's such a genius about this small column of things, and there are so many personable things that he is so ignorant of, just the way you described. So I found that interesting.
I think that's true of a lot of us. We have areas of
That's
strength,
true of all of us.
right? Yeah. And there's all this stuff around us. And so many people today, especially, folks that are trying to help, they don't like the term weakness. And I'm like, you know what? We just have to embrace that. We all have it.
I'm
So
not embracing it.
you're not embracing weakness? All right. Well, good for you.
How
I
about we're
am.
just all human? We're all human.
Well, we are. Well, and the part is
Yeah.
that if I have it, it's one of those things where, people a lot of times they work so hard in order to overcome a weakness. Now, there's stuff that we have to learn, no doubt. But it's like I always say, like, if I tomorrow wanted to go and join the WNBA, it's like, I mean, seriously, I can't jump I can't jump up a step, let alone jump what they need to do. So it's part about like, okay, if I have a drive to get there, if that's not really possible, how do I find, based on my drivers, what is possible? And also there may be jobs, for example, where if I'm an executive, but I'm not really good at finance or I'm not good at operations, you know what you do? You hire people. So you're
Exactly.
mitigating that, as opposed to assuming you can do it all when you can't.
I love that. So,
Amy?
what I guess, are you going to be doing any personal appearances or anything? And also, where can people find your book?
The book is on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or any place your books are sold. Right now, I have my website, or the landing page is butterflygoobook.net. So I'm pretty much wherever you want to find me.
Rachel, where would your book be at Barnes and Noble? I was a
It's
little lost because I was looking for Peter James' book. We interviewed him about 4 weeks ago, and I was trying to find him at Barnes and Noble, and I couldn't figure out where Peter James would be. So where would Rachel Burr be in the Barnes and Noble?
Well, in terms of section, we can talk about that. Physically, it's only online, but it's really mostly in the humorous memoir. One of the things that I loved was me trying to figure out the genre for this: humorous memoir, self-help. And I'm really a big person I don't like boxes. I don't like trying to, categorize, but I do know it helps people.
I love
So,
boxes. That's marketing.
yeah, there you go. I know it is. And so I have to like really figure out how to work with that. So humorous memoir, like Jenny Lawson, Let's Pretend This Never Happened, a mostly true memoir, things like that. There's no physical location, but that's the kind of genre, if you're familiar with that. And then you've got the self-help kind of aspects along the way.
I like it. I like it. Russell, I have Peter James's book, but I ordered it when we talked to
Melinda's
him.
read the first 4 now.
They're really good. This show's really good too,
And she
Russell.
says everyone gets better than the last.
Yeah, his writing definitely gets better the more that you
That's
read.
true with me too. I mean, every one of my
Yeah.
books is better than the last.
That's a true statement. That is a very true statement. Well, you guys, happy November. I hope everybody has a fantastic Monday. Stay warm if you're down here in Texas because we don't do the cold. Okay, so stay warm down here. But we hope everybody has a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. And until next time, bye for now, everybody.